All right, all right, all right. Hello.
How you doing, my melanin influenced sister?
I am well. I am well.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful.
How you feeling?
I'm great. I'm great.
You
You
great?
know. So, what may I owe to your presence today?
So we're gonna have this here conversation
Okay. Okay.
about relationships.
About what?
Relationships.
Okay, that's kind of deep right there.
Right.
What about relationship?
I think we're gonna have a little bit of dialogue around what's the value of having opposite sex friends
Okay. Okay.
platonically.
Okay. Let's see how deep we can get with that.
We're gonna break it down and look at it from a number of different ways.
I got you, sis. I got you,
So, whenever I ask you, what's the value in a relationship, you say,
sis. I don't know. There's a lot of benefits. The values. Let's touch upon the positive things. From a male's point of view, I think the value of having an opposite sex friend is you get a different perspective. Men are from Mars, women are from Venus. We all wired up differently. I think differently from you. So me desiring to have a female in my life to guide me, to make me knowledgeable, to inform me of how to quote unquote to a certain degree or educate me just upon our sisters in general. I see that as a value.
so this is just your friend, platonic friend. It's not your partner or somebody.
Okay.
This your friend.
Well, I think we all on certain levels could bring that, but just a platonic friend, with no strings attached. Yeah, I don't see a problem with that.
Okay. So, for me, I'm gonna say that when we have friends, regardless of whether they're male or female,
Right, right.
each of the friends brings something different to the table.
Okay,
Right? So I'm like one of many of your friends, one of many of your thousand friends.
okay.
And so Jatan only can bring this so much to the table for you, and then you got your other 999 that might address this, and that, right?
Okay.
And so I think that when we talk about platonic friendship, I think it's healthy. And as long as if you have, especially it gets complicated when you have partners, but we're going to talk about that later.
Okay.
But I think that being able to get a man's perspective about certain things and be honest. I think that men don't beat around the bush. There are no hormonal issues like us women get caught up in our feelings and emotions and we speak from a certain level. And then oftentimes it's just like when men say something, just give you a pause, like, wow, whoa. Because you don't did that to me a few times since we
Have
don't
I?
start. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. You don't made me.
In what aspect?
I mean, just I don't want to give specific examples, but I'm just saying,
Just in general.
just in general, I find value, and we're just talking, and then it's just like, wow, I have an epiphany on. I didn't even think about it like that.
Okay.
So
So was it something that caught you off guard?
I wouldn't say that it caught me off guard. I just didn't consider it that way, and I think that my female mind just did not conceive of it in the way that you brought it to me, and it was like, oh, okay. So it gave me another purview to look at a situation that I probably wouldn't have considered had I been talking with a bunch of my girls.
Okay. So that's a benefit.
That is a
That's a
definite
tremendous
benefit.
benefit.
Absolutely.
Same here. I've had many conversations with my brothers, and I've had many conversations with my sisters. And because we all wired up differently, we do think alike to a degree, but we do think differently. Uh, just on views with anything, it can come to just being social, going to an event, clothes, anything else in general.
Right.
Like right now, in particular. What I'm seeking is a better understanding. I'm at a certain stage in my life, so I'm seeking a better understanding. I'm seeking a female perspective.
Okay.
I've been who I am all my life.
Right.
I haven't done everything perfectly, but I'm willing to learn some new things, even at this stage in my life. But I do understand that because of that, I have to be willing to accept what's given to me as well. I've actually sought out different opinions and different perspectives from various individuals, be it all females. You know, I could always run to my boys and my partners and ask them about this or that. You know, but my sisters, you know, depending on what stage and what phase you are in life, they'll give me their honest opinion if I ask for
it. Yeah, I think it's so beneficial. I was just trying to flash back to like the male friends that I have in my life. Just being that bounce back too, you know. Some things I may not want to share with my girls, you know. Some things may be on a certain level that I might not feel comfortable sharing that with them, but sharing it with this male person. And we still talking about platonic. I think it's just different, because this person and I may have a different history than I have with these particular set of female friends. And so when you can embrace the history and that connectedness, like, and remember the time and this and that, like that's so valuable, you know, and there's a connectedness in that way. So I do find the value in it, and I'd like to say that media tries to give the impression that we always need to be trying to sex up one another, right? You know, that we're trying to be intimate in such a way, and that's not necessarily always the case.
Okay, but I mean, what do you think about that though? What do you think of it? You know, when it comes to that, you know, that we are so sexualized. You know.
Right. So in preparation for us having this conversation, one of the professors of I think Bowling Green University was basically saying like we've been socially conditioned, that we've been programmed.
But who conditioned us?
Our families, our values, our beliefs, the media, the songs, the movies we watch, the videos, the books we read. Those, I mean, like most times it's supposed to lead to this way. Like when we're watching a movie, you like, yeah, they gonna get together. They're fine and perfect just the way they are as friends, but we want them to be romantically connected.
Right.
You know, and that's not always necessary. If it ain't broke, you don't fix it.
Okay, so I don't think about it like that. Sis. In my perspective, I think all women are beautiful. Everyone has a unique quality that they encompass. You might have some amazing eyes, you know, some succulent lips, or you know, just a wonderful smile. You might pass the sun and man, it just lights it up. You know, you see all those curves. You know, it all depends on what you're looking for. You know, and it doesn't always have to be physical. It's just like right now, we're having an intellectual conversation.
Right.
You know, that's stimulating within us all.
Right.
You know, and because of that, you know, that expresses your uniqueness. You know, sometimes it's just the quality for some. You know, it doesn't always have to be, you know, a physical thing. You know, I mean, what you're attracted to initially is what you see on the outside.
Right.
You know, aesthetically. You know, however, you know, when you give yourself the opportunity to sit down and create a conversation, create a dialogue with that individual, you get to know a little more about them.
So one of the things that I think about is when I was in a house full of men, going to the barbershop. I love taking the boys to the barbershop.
Okay, why?
Because that was like the best learning experience ever. Like, those barbers weren't my friends. We had a professional relationship in terms of they were providing services to, you know, the men in my family. Right. But I found so much value in that knowledge that, I mean, they gave it to you straight chaser. And it was like, ooh, it was like listening in on some private conversations.
Right. That was forbidden to you.
Right.
Quote, unquote.
Right. And sitting in the barbershop, I'm getting an earful. So I valued, and I'm like, I could see the value in having male companionship, you know, relationship,
Right.
male relationship, in that just a world of knowledge. And so I look forward to taking the boys to the barbershop,
That's
because
cool.
every time I went, I was going to learn something new.
Right. So that's just like me going to the beauty shop or the nail shop, you know, with a significant other or a friend, you
True.
know, and being made privy to certain conversations, you know, and sometimes they feel comfortable and sometimes they don't, you
Right.
know. But look, you're touching upon something that you might not have been given on that level, that
Right.
knowledge, you know. So it gives you a better understanding. And sometimes, maybe if you're the only one in there, you know, they'll draw you into the conversation,
Absolutely.
seeking out your perspective.
Right. That's true.
Yeah,
That's true.
yeah,
So in many ways, we can find spaces and places where there truly is value in that.
yeah. Okay.
I just think that we have to tread carefully
Yes, you do.
if you
Yes,
got
you
partners or significant others.
do. Oh, okay. Now that's something different.
So now
Okay.
we all cool and gravy, like,
Right,
hey D, what's
right.
up, what's up? Well, my dude
Okay.
over here, like, how many times you gonna talk to him?
Okay.
Then you
okay.
talked to him last week,
Right.
talked to him yesterday. Don't you
Okay.
think that's about enough?
Well, it can create some complexities, but that boils down to how secure that individual is with you, you know, and you all's relationship.
Because somebody could manipulate it though. So if
Yeah.
they know that they dude is like that, let
Right.
me call D. Let me,
Right.
and then you making him feel less than because you're emasculating. And I'm not saying that just women, because it could be the flip.
Okay.
A man doing the same thing to his, his partner with his female friend. But I think that you need to be mature about it. And I think, like we discussed before, like you said last time,
Right.
open, honest, clear communications.
Put everything out there.
Put everything out there on the table.
Right. So that's where that conversation comes into place. You know, as you just spoke upon and reiterated, I think that an honest, clear, and straightforward conversation is needed in all type of relationships, whether it be platonic, whether it be one where you're committed to the other individual. It just needs to be out there. Right. So it's like, let's just say me and you in general. You know, we have an association. You know, we're building upon a friendship. You know, we go back way back then. But you know, we've had to outline some things, or have we outlined some things?
We did.
Okay. So we came together, you know, and we stated that this is a business proposition. This is something that we're both going to get something out of.
Right.
We're building right now.
Absolutely.
However, you know, we also want to encourage and, you know, spread the knowledge to everyone else. You know, so this is our little personal conversation.
Right.
You know, we'll be touching upon many things, you know, to get an understanding. You know, but that conversation, just in general, regardless of how you start, needs to be had.
And folks are seeing this
Okay.
if they believe us.
Okay.
If they take what we're saying as the gospel truth.
Whether to believe this or not, it's on them.
Right.
Right.
And so, yeah, so we created a space to be able to share with folk to have these kind of conversations that we might not normally have.
Right. So how would you start that off, though? How would you start that off?
How would I start off? What?
How would you start off this conversation?
What
I mean,
conversation?
two of us, you know, like, you know, coming in contact with you, you know, we sitting down, you know, like, okay, when I meet you initially, when you meet someone, you know, and you're getting to know them, when you get to that first, second, or third date, you know, what type of conversation do you think you should have going forward? You know, like, how do you view me? What are your intentions? Why do you want to be my
Man,
friend?
you just jump right on in, right?
Yeah, that's the conversation. That's the way it should be.
Well, I've been out the game
Okay.
for quite some time, so I don't know how the peoples do it. Because I'm doing more, I guess, even if you connect, I don't know if folk using like social media, different platforms, dating platforms, or whether people are meeting organically or whatever. But some people in it for, well, if you're on Tinder, I mean, that means you looking for something, right? you're looking for something.
Okay, okay.
And so if I'm just having a conversation and somebody told me like you can never have too many friends, you want to get this number or this, or you want this guy to get your number so you can have another friend. All right, okay, whatever. But I guess it would have to be clear on like what really are you looking for, and then I would need to be clear on what I'm willing to offer up. You know what this is.
Okay, so I would consider myself old school. You know, I would prefer to meet someone face to face.
Yes.
You know, don't do Tinder or whatever else is out there.
This is for platonic pursuits, or just now we talking about dating.
Platonic pursuits, dating. I want to see what I'm working with. You know, you online or you're seeking something or someone that you really can't see. You really have no idea of who you're talking to. You know, I'm not gonna get into all of that right there. You know, but I'd rather see you walking down the street. You know, and you catch my eye and I approach you. You know, and we go from there. You know, I could walk up to you. I could introduce myself to you. And depending on how you respond, we can continue with the conversation.
So, well, I ain't gonna get into it. That's the whole. I think that's like a whole nother segment.
Okay.
Because ain't too many people walking up to me. Well, first of all, ain't too many people walking up to me. Period. Ain't nobody walking up to me, right? I don't know why. I can't answer what the people. I don't know why the people do what they do.
Do you think you're approachable or unapproachable?
I don't think I'm approachable. People say I had that bitch face, and so yeah. They say that, and so I've had to learn.
Is it that, or is it confidence that you exude?
For me, I would say it's probably confidence, but like people say, you walk strong.
Okay.
They like, you got a confident walk. I ain't never been more thought about how I walk until it took a couple of people to say that to me about, like, when I come in, I'm coming in like, not like I own the place, but I walk firm on my feet, like I know what I'm doing or where I'm going, and I'm assured of myself.
I think that's sexy. I think that's attractive. And for those brothers who are intimidated by that, they don't need to be around you. Or you don't want them in your space.
Right.
Because they can't really bring you any benefit.
Right.
Maybe they can, but I don't think they can.
So to go back to the bitch face.
Okay.
I know that.
So what's your bitch face? I don't look like it to me.
So,
all right.
People have said I've had the bitch face, and so like if I'm not smiling, I guess they feel like I have strong features. A lot of times I'm thinking in my head,
right?
And so I have a thought, and so they may think like I'm someplace else when I'm really not. But I've gotten that from men or from women, so I've had to learn in like the past, I'll say 5 to 10 years, to try to smile more.
Okay.
To not look as intense, you know, to lean in and nod.
Is that for yourself or for everybody else?
I want people. I would say it's both. I would say it's a little bit of both, because I don't want people to perceive me as being a bitch, being a hard ass, and so. But just
why do you have to describe yourself as that, sis?
That's what people have said to me.
But I don't feel
I'm not describing myself.
I don't feel comfortable with you expressing yourself in that way, in that manner. Do you understand? You know, so less than approachable. Could we do
less
that?
than approachable?
Less than approachable.
Okay, I'm sorry.
All
okay.
Right. All right.
Keep it PG. No cussing. Okay.
It's not about PG. It's the way that, you know, as a culture of people, how we've been defined to a certain degree. I'm not perfect, you know. I've allowed it to come out my mouth a time, you know, or two, you know, in a certain way, in a certain manner. But I just don't feel comfortable with my sisters expressing themselves in that way, in that manner.
No.
You know? And because
Keep
of
it
that,
queenly.
right? There you go, queen. Continue. We good. Look at that smile.
So,
right.
So, I feel that I'm less than approachable.
Okay.
Because of the way that people may have perceived me, whether they've heard about me,
right,
have a misperception,
right,
or it may be they can't read my facial expression. And I know a lot of times people are like, I can't read you, or I don't know how you feeling.
Okay.
And I think part of that too is also because having a stone face, like no
Right.
affect.
Poker.
When you're doing therapy
Okay.
with people, you can't be showing your emotions. They could tell you the most dastardly, nasty, whatever stuff or horrendous. You can be like, oh, damn. You can't do that, right? And so I've just learned, like when people talk to me, I can have a stale face, or and I just think that maybe I've probably taken that on as a part of who I am, and maybe that's why people. I never even thought about to just having this conversation.
But that's okay. That's individual conditioning. And again, if someone is attracted to you, regardless of how you look, they will approach you. To some, it might even be considered a challenge, and you might look a little more attractive uh, because of the fact that you stand in a certain way and you exude a certain image. It might create something to whereas they'll say, okay, I really want to figure out and find out what's on that individual's mind.
Mm-hmm.
You think so? You think so?
I mean, I could roll with that.
Okay.
I could roll with that. But I would have to say, I don't get approached.
Okay.
Except for.
We gonna work on that. Okay, we can work on that.
Right. So, I mean. But I don't even know that's for me to work on. Right? So, like, if I'm like, I've learned to,
But do you care?
not look as high.
Do you care?
I don't even think about it.
Okay.
I don't even think about it. At the end of the day, yeah, I want to be with somebody, but I ain't about to like break my dang on neck and throw myself all out and be
Not at
something
all.
that I'm not, because
Not
I
at all.
cannot be nobody else but me.
Yeah. We are who we are because of who we are.
So do women approach you?
Uh, I have been approached
You have been
at
approached
times. There were times that
recently.
I have been approached
Okay.
at times. So let's just say this: I have some female associates in my life right now, and we've been friends for quite some time. And because of that, I've become a little more comfortable with them, and I've been able to express myself. So on. I've had one sister I've been friends with for quite a while, and I asked her, how can I say this? I asked her what was it about me that attracted her to me. She basically stated that I walked in a way, in a manner that exuded extreme confidence, like I had it all together. And honestly, that was the first time I ever heard of anything like that. I guess during that period of time, I had a lot going on with me personally, and because of that, because I tend to be private at times and keep to myself, I also stay focused on whatever it is that I'm trying to accomplish or trying to attain or possibly get over. That confidence that I exuded was actually focus. I'm confident, maybe not as confident as I desire to be. Having everything together, there's some things that I would like to better myself in on so many levels, But we had an intimate conversation and we broke some things down, and she had a better understanding about it. And like I stated, it's not always the fact that you're unapproachable. It's sometimes that we could be going through some things. We could be, moving through different phases in our lives, and trying to find a way to connect not only what we're going through, but just reality in general. And sometimes we do not desire to bring people into our space. And every now and then, you might have someone that you come across or approaches you, and they'll lift your spirit up, They'll give you a different perspective and a way to look at things, and maybe take you away from the world which you're dealing in at that time.
So I think we are really solid and in agreement with the value of platonic friendships.
I believe so.
Um, so let's delve a little bit into when it's not healthy, like when it's an impediment or a barrier to somebody, like, and we can speak to whether it's that person that's not even in a relationship
Okay.
or somebody that's in a relationship.
Okay. Okay.
Um, Thoughts on that?
So I think a being initially in the unhealthy relationship from the start and seeking other friendships of the opposite sex, is an extreme, as you stated, impediment. It's not healthy at all, And
Starting off wrong.
I wouldn't suggest it,
Right.
Unless you're seeking someone different in the first place. You're seeking to go outside of that relationship that you're currently in, for whatever reason. Maybe you're just not happy.
Right, and I feel like that person is probably doesn't even know that they're being manipulated or used.
Possibly.
Because you have a personal, an ulterior motive
Right.
for doing what you're doing.
Okay.
And so that's a level of maturity that one has to be able to handle.
Okay.
I've not in my life have ever, and I don't have an abundance of male friends, first of all. So anytime I've been in a relationship, that has never been an issue for me at all.
For you, but how about that other individual?
I've not ever had anybody tell me it was an issue.
So they never brought it to your attention?
Mm-mm.
Okay, so
No.
that means they were secure within themselves and the woman that they're dealing with.
Right, because I have an abundance of female friends too. So it's like I said, very few male friends, and then and the true test of that is if that person can be around
Right.
your significant other,
Okay.
your partner, husband, wife, whatever, if whatever you texting
Right.
or saying, your significant other, I mean, it ain't tripping. Like, you should be able to say what you want to say without it being disrespectful or crossing the lines. You know what I'm saying?
And that's what I think we all see. Inevitably, we want to create a balance in our situation. I know I would. That's what I desire. A balance in my situation. When I'm involved with someone, it's like, baby, I'm in your corner. I just want to make sure that you're in the same corner with me. And we in this together. If I decide that it's not really working, I want to be able to be honest and straightforward with you, and vice versa. If you're not comfortable, if you're not satisfied, let me know. We can continue to be friends. But I want to give you the right to be able to make that decision for yourself.
Okay. So, in talking about some of those things, those barriers, if you have a jealous partner, if you are insecure or your partner's like, people need to be conscientious. Like, you threaten your relationship with somebody else, who's of the opposite sex, right? And if you're in a relationship, they have to understand that there comes a level of, because if, say for example, you're my husband,
Okay.
I'm your wife,
Okay, honey.
and I got this, guy friend,
Right.
You don't know him from Adam,
Okay.
right? And so I have to assure you, I have to give you some background, some detail, whatever, and I have to make you feel comfortable around that. But if I'm sneaking off, dipping, doing lunch, like, if it looks anything less than above board, then it's probably not good, right? And I'm not making you feel well.
Okay, so I can't be the spokesman for all men.
Right.
But what I will say is I'm confident within myself. I'm confident with what I offer. I'm confident with what I possess.
But what if I was an insecure woman? And I'm using him to dig you or make you whatever. Like,
Okay, but are you talking about you bringing a male friend into the situation? Because I just expressed to you that I'm confident.
Right.
Okay, so how are you playing on that one?
But I'm saying, like, there are some people who will be manipulative that bring in that extra person to make their partner jealous.
Right.
Maybe to get them, like, I go to the movies with Mark. I
So-
go to the,
In that situation, what I'm feeling is you're seeking a little more attention from me that I haven't been giving to you.
Right.
If you're seeking out male companionship or a quote unquote friend. And when you get to that point, you need to come to your mate, and express yourself to him.
But will you miss it in your confidence? Because you're very confident about what you bring to the table and about what you're doing in your relationship.
Well,
But could you miss the attention that she's seeking if you're confident in that? You like, you got this.
I don't think so.
Okay.
Not in that way, in that manner. Now, that sounds like an individual playing mind games. I know it's an example, but just thoroughly think about it. Me and you are married. We're a couple. And you bringing someone else into the situation as you just expressed yourself.
Right.
Me being a man, and because I've expressed, I understand and I'm confident within myself. I know what I'm bringing to the table.
Right.
I know what I'm capable of. I feel as though I'm making you happy. But if you're unhappy, you want to create, I guess, a situation to where I would pay more attention to you.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Now, a better example would be me being the person that I am. A free-hearted individual, very social, acquiring a young lady and bringing her into my
What?
space, an associate, a friend. Now, you see that green?
And I'm the wife.
Yeah. Did you see how you just responded? Now that's probably not you, but some young ladies or that significant other might respond like that.
Right.
Like what? So in a specific language, that might entail like I'm really not comfortable with that. Right.
And then that will require an additional conversation around that and how that makes you feel. And
right. Like who is this individual?
Right.
And what's the deal with you all? Why do you need her in your life, in your space? Am I not complimenting you enough?
Right. So I think this even goes back to, we just had a conversation recently about like what it feels like to be in relationship with somebody and expect D to be my whole world.
Okay.
D gonna give me, he know about this, he know about that.
Right,
That's
right.
not actually true. Like,
Okay, but why can't I be your whole world?
because we just not made up like that.
Okay. What if I put my work in and that's what I desire to be, and I encompass everything that you want, need, and feel like you desire because you expressed that to me. So I put that extra effort in, and I give all of that to you.
But to a certain extent, I don't know. I'm not saying you doing that.
Right.
I'm not saying that you doing that
Okay.
does not make me feel better. We are using this as an example because we're
Right.
talking in the example.
Okay.
So if you are that person
Right.
that's stepping up and you're trying to meet all of my needs and this and that, you have certain lived experiences
Mm-hmm.
that somebody else may not have had. You know what I'm saying? Like, you just couldn't possibly be it. And I'm not saying you D, but you could not possibly, in my mind, this is Jatan, this is Jay. This is what Jay is saying.
Okay.
So Jay is saying, because we are so unique as
Okay.
individuals and human beings, I couldn't possibly expect you to be everything. That's why I have girlfriends that I may talk about this issue and that issue. Like, everybody brings something different to the table. I might, if you say that, and because of where I've been and what I've worked in, if you have that level of what, baby, why can't I be everything to you? Then I'm starting to feel like, is that a control issue?
Yeah. Okay. And that was just a question.
Right.
Right. So.
Right.
And that's a great answer.
Yeah.
That's a
So
great answer. right.
If it's too much of that, and you're trying to just make me be only attached to you,
So that's how you perceive
it depends on the full scope of the picture, and we're
it.
just
Right.
using this as an
Right.
example.
Right. And in that case, you would tell that significant other, go get some friends.
But
Go get some friends.
go get some friends.
I don't want to be under you all the time, 24/7. You know.
Right. And
Right.
for some people, it works like that.
For some people, it does.
Right. So, like, we watched the Red
Okay.
Table.
Right. Right.
With Jada and
Will
Will.
and Jada. Okay.
Yeah.
So, what did you think about that right there?
Well,
What's that? An entanglement, whatever that was.
entanglement.
Was.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
It was a lot, and so just to keep it in context of this conversation, people in relationship,
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to platonic friends or whatever, couples have to define
So define platonic.
not having sex.
Okay.
No intimate.
So platonic friends have sex.
I didn't say that.
Yes.
I'm like, did I say that? I'm like, I didn't say that. So, with the whole thing with Will and Jada, at the end of the day, I just felt like Jada said, "Hey, I'm not happy in this. Like, you smothering me. You want me to follow your vision and what you want to do, and like somehow they weren't meeting of the minds in terms of what they wanted out of each other. And so rather than, well, I think she was communicating it. I think he didn't want to hear it. I think he had it. It was in his mind that, he was going to thrust upon her, like, we're going to celebrate your birthday like this. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. But those were clearly things that were not appealing to her. She didn't want to celebrate in that way. There were certain things that she just wouldn't have done. And so they were two different people in a marriage with two different expectations around what gives the other person happiness. So, Will was hurt that she didn't love his 40th birthday party for her that he had started planning 3 years prior.
Okay.
So I think that let me just say, I think that at the end of the day, people have to be truly honest and open about what it is. And when things change, they have to communicate that and not shut down, but the other person has to be receptive of it as well. Like, there has to be a mutual agreement around what this is going to look like. Your thoughts?
So, we could continue with this topic forever. Let me throw this out. A lot of times, when we look at other people and we look at relationships just in general, it's based on what we've seen prior to us getting involved with someone else.
Right. So what's been modeled for us?
Right. Yeah.
What we witnessed.
Exactly. And some of our greatest influences in life. And
Right.
Will and Jada's case, because I know a little bit about both of them in general. You could go to their backgrounds, whether you come from a single family household, or you have both parents, or you have neither parents.
Right.
You might possibly be raised from someone from a different generation, grandmother, grandfather, aunt or uncle.
Factors, yeah.
You might even be raised by your older brother or sister. So that gives you a different perspective on life in general.
Right.
And relationships. How we might become conditioned on how we look at people.
So that goes to, like, when they say you're not just marrying the person, like you're marrying that family.
Yes, you are.
When you all connect,
Yes,
you
are.
get all of their stuff coming into it, and you bringing all of your stuff into it, and
Most
then
definitely.
you have to create your own niche for how you all are going to be. Pulling from the best parts
Right.
of that situation from both
Right.
families.
Right. So a lot of the times, like you just stated, you're not just coming together with that individual. You're coming together with that individual and everyone else who's come within their space, that's influenced them. and made them who they are.
Right. Thought I cut my phone on. So yeah, so I think that what people have experienced, and I think that's what you were saying. So like even the past relationships, like sometimes you have to sever out what you've been through, and sometimes you have to embrace the good parts of what you were in as well. You
If
know,
if you allow yourself to, if
right?
you can.
And then figure out how does that meld with a person that you're with right now.
Right, right.
So it's gonna be some. It's not easy. You know, it's not easy to expect and think that people will people will be able to. I should have turned this off.
It's alright, it's alright.
That people will have this romantic, perfect. Everybody and their mama call. Everybody and their mama calling me.
Going on, right.
Right, like, are you kidding me?
Phone,
Nobody calls me, so I'm getting all these phone calls.
Okay. You know, you're probably having an interesting conversation with somebody in your space right now. That's the spirits. That's all that is.
Is that what that
So
is?
continue on.
Well, I was thrown off. So I'm just gonna say that coming into a relationship, bringing your baggage, bringing the best of you and the worst of you, people cannot expect that it's going to be this happy and happily, you know, they live thereafter, right? Like, people got to find their groove and they dance.
Right.
Because you used to do a jig over here with that
Mhm.
relationship, but right now, we doing this smooth bop, right?
Right.
We slow drag.
Okay.
And so we have to change the flow of our steps with the people who we're with so that we're in sync with one another. We're not stepping on each other's toes.
There you go. Good, bad, and indifferent. We have to make it work for ourselves.
Right.
You know, so if you happy, I'm happy,
Right.
and vice versa. You know, and if you're not, you need to get out that situation. You know, and move along, move on sometime. You know, and seek out something that'll bring you happiness.
But if it's not always that easy, but yeah.
It is. It is. If you want it, it is. If that's
But
what
if you're in a committed relationship, it's not that easy. Like if my happiness, well, and that goes back to that Jada and Will thing.
So what would make you stay?
What would make me
If
stay?
you were unhappy, you were in a situation, what is it that make you stay? String your happiness along, you know, where you're just frustrated, you know, you're miserable.
At the end of the day, I gotta be happy. I have to be happy.
There's nothing which would make you compromise that.
People gotta meet me part of the way, half the way. I mean, like, you cannot expect to have this lovely life all the time. There is going to be struggle. Life is a struggle, the yin and the yang, right?
Okay.
You know, so that's the way of the world. But there are certain things that I can handle and things that I cannot. And my personal satisfaction and happiness is a priority.
Okay.
It's a priority because I know I give 1,000.
Okay.
I know I give 1,000, and so if that person is not willing to meet me some semblance of the way, I just can't do it. And then again, that may have been what that person has experienced in previous relationships, or what they've been modeled, what they've seen as models of relationship.
What they're used to.
Right.
Right.
So I'm gonna say, I always gonna throw the bid in. See a therapist. See a therapist. When you get in those ruts, it's not always about calling it quits, right? It's easy to say I'm done and not bring in somebody that has a neutral, objective opinion to help you work those things out.
Okay, and I pose that question because in some instances, I wouldn't look at it as a compromise, but there are cases where you can or have sacrificed your personal happiness for something.
Oh, baby, bye.
For something of a greater cause. And a lot of times,
For the kids. I'm saying it for the kids.
That's where I was going.
I'm doing it for the kids.
A lot of us do that. And at the end of the day, it's not healthy.
It's not.
And it's not good.
Amen.
You know, we have
Hallelujah.
to come to a mutual agreement that it's best for us to go our separate ways and put our total energies into those babies,
Right.
into those kids.
Because we giving them our baggage. I'm
Right,
sorry.
right, right.
I'm sorry.
We are, but a lot of time we don't do that. We don't do that. You know, we string along, and sometimes, you know, we're in a situation much longer than we have to be. You know, and it affects, you know, those individuals who are directly influenced, but it has nothing to do with you and
Right.
that person has going on.
Right.
Because you all couldn't get along. And why? Because you didn't have that conversation initially. You know, I looked in your eyes, you looked in my eyes, and all we saw was beauty.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we didn't get to know one another. You know, I didn't give myself the opportunity to understand your deepest wants, needs, and desires. You know, in that case, you know, it's not always the case. You know, but that's just a situation right there.
Right.
And that could be one thing. And, you know, another thing is you have those individuals that might want to fix that other individual.
Oh yeah.
You know, can't save everybody. Sometimes you have to take the cape off and just fly away.
Right. And
let them go.
it's a lot of women out here with a cape on, and it's a lot of men. A lot of men out here with these. They want to find these broken birds. They want to fix them up. All they need to do is dust them off,
Mm-hmm.
clean them up,
Mm-hmm.
and they'll be good as new.
Captain K, man.
It's not that easy.
Right.
It's not that easy.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I'm good with exploring this. Like, you have any final thoughts about this whole conversation of men and women, or you want to sum up? You want to give a summary of what we've talked about?
Well, let's summarize it by saying, I think first of all, you know, we have to truly embrace who we are. Learn to love the individual self. You know, be able to understand what you bring as an individual, and whether you need to work on yourself or not.
Right.
Before introducing yourself, putting yourself in someone else's space. You know, if you're willing to dedicate that time to you, I think you'll be willing to dedicate that time or put that extra effort into someone else. You know, and able to build a relationship with them.
And for me, I think that there requires a whole lot of transparency.
Okay.
Communication, hands down, the way that people express themselves, or not, whether it's, you know, and I'm talking about if the complexity of being in a relationship and having outside friendship, it can be very dangerous.
Okay.
Because you can begin to swift pivot and turn and put all that energy that should have been with your partner
Right.
into your friend.
Okay.
And so it makes it a little bit more complex. So I think people need to sit with themselves to understand, you know, if you're going to call it quits, but don't play these games and, you know, have this person hanging on.
Mm-hmm.
I think that we all need to be mindful of our own personal happiness, but also being in agreement with what it is that we want in a relationship. And anytime there are things that shift, ebb, and flow, and something don't feel right, you gotta open your mouth and not let it fester like a wound.
Yeah. So
You know.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Yep. So I think that women and men can definitely. I keep looking over here instead of over here because the camera's over that way. That and a lot of times that there is an opportunity, and we did talk even before this about being socially conditioned and all
Right.
that, and the models of what we think or see as it always needs to be romantic. But I don't think that oftentimes you're going to get that full package in your significant other.
Not necessarily.
Not
right.
necessarily. I mean, I don't know. I can't speak for some people. I mean, I just think we're just incredible human beings that come with a whole bunch of stuff, and that it's a rare gem. I'm gonna say it's a rare gem to find that person that's your all.
Well, you have to think that you're a full package. You know.
I mean, yeah.
Right.
When I say that, yeah, you That's gonna take us into that complete and incomplete or compliment conversation that we're gonna have. Um, so yeah, I wasn't saying that at all. If I communicated that, no, I'm not
No,
saying
you
that I'm
did.
less than.
I'm just saying, not
Oh,
coming off arrogantly, but I feel as though I'm
you
the
just
total package. I'm the shit.
not.
Yeah, what you about to say? Yeah, for sure. Because if I don't believe it, who else is gonna believe it?
Right.
So if you exude that confidence in yourself, what you seeking, the spirits will bring it to you. And you might deep down inside, know you have whatever shortcomings you have, but you're seeking something which would create a greater atmosphere, to better you. So you think like that, you feel like that. I think you should. Right.
Okay, so I guess we are wrapping this up.
Yes, we
This
are.
segment was on the value of relationships of the opposite sex. What's the value in it? We looked a little bit at some of the complexities of it, and we just summarized like what it looks like just for relationships. Period.
Right. So I hope I hope you all understood that. And again, my disclaimer is, that I'm not the spokesman for all men, especially my brothers.
Right. I don't speak for all women. I'm just giving my own perspective.
Individual.
Yep.
Right.
So I think we're good.
Okay, we good.
All right, then. We will see y'all later.
All right, much love.
All right, Jay is out.
Silk is out.
All right, then. Take care.
Blessings.